Evan Carmichael is an author, speaker, and YouTuber who Gary Vee called the content DJ that inspired people. He went from making $300 per month and being introverted and shy to having 300 million people watching his YouTube videos. So today, let's learn how to choose the right life for you. Mentor me, Evan! Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Don't quit on what you love.
If you quit on something too soon that you still love, you will regret it for the rest of your life. If you don't love it anymore, quit. Move on. You will never win doing work that you hate. But if you love it, and you move on to something else, you will look back on this day and regret it for the rest of your life that you did not see it through. Most people spend their entire life living with regrets. Don't let that be you. The hardest decision I ever had to make in my life was being an entrepreneur. I struggled a lot with the decision, do I want to be an entrepreneur, and had this opportunity to make $300 a month and earn 30% of a company versus going to work at a job that I thought I wanted, a job that I'd been preparing myself for, that this is what I wanted to do. It was in my high school yearbook of this is where I was going to be. And here it was, earning 6 figures, traveling around the world, doing the investment banking that I thought I wanted to do, versus making $300 a month and owning 30% of a company. And the thing that allowed me to push through and be an entrepreneur was me saying, I don't want to live with regret. That I would rather no one fail than not know. And I gave myself a year. I said, I'm going to give myself a year to do this. I could always go back and get another job. It may not be the same job. It probably wouldn't be the same job. It may not be as much pay. It may not be traveling as much as this job was offering me to travel. But this entrepreneurial thing, this opportunity that I had, I never knew if it would come back again. Like I thought maybe this will never happen to me again. And so I decided to go for it. And we struggled and it was hard, but I never ended up having to go back and get another job. And so if you're at an inflection point, if you're thinking about which path should I take, A or B, lean in with your heart. Stop using your head. Your head only understands the world that currently exists. Lean in with your heart. And ask yourself, which decision will I regret more if I don't do? And then go take that action. I became an entrepreneur because I didn't want to regret not having at least tried. And a great moment in my life came a number of years later where one of the people I went to university with came back and said, Evan, I went down that path. I became the investment banker and I hate my life. How do I become an entrepreneur? And I looked in his eyes and I saw the desperation and the sadness and helped him, but also was so grateful that that wasn't me, because it could have been. So how do you live a life not filled with regrets? I'm going to give you a 3-step process that I think will help. Step number 1, ask yourself, do you still love it? If you are making something, if you're in the process of creating your business and it's not getting results, ask yourself, do you still love it? It's easy to keep going when you're making money and everything's working. Right? When you're at the high, it's easy to keep going. But when it's not working out, for me, when I was making videos and it wasn't working out, it's hard to build a YouTube channel. In the early days, I kept going because I loved it. Ask yourself, this thing that you're doing every single day, this thing that you're worried about leaving and quitting and giving up on, do you still love the process of it? Not just getting some result, not just making $1 million, not just getting 1 million subscribers, whatever your outcome is, the process, the work. Do you actually love the work? If you do, then you have to keep going. Step number 2, ask yourself, how can you keep going? How can you keep going? How do you keep the momentum going? The biggest thing missing for most people is momentum. You're just not doing enough on a daily basis. You stop and start and stop and start and stop and start, and people give up and they quit too soon before you allow that momentum to grow and to carry you. So how can you keep that momentum going? How can you do something every single day to move your mission a little bit forward? Not taking giant steps, but just a little bit, tiny step forward every single day. Even if that means you have to go back and get a job. Even if that means that, listen, maybe you're out of money right now. Maybe you took a bet on entrepreneurship and you tried it for 6 to 9 months and now your bank account is dry because you spent it all. Great. Maybe you have to go back and get another job. 1, make sure that that job is something that you're going to learn from, not just make an income from. But then 2, make sure that when you're coming home, you're still spending 30, 45, 60, 90, 120 minutes every day. Don't let the momentum stop on your idea. And step number 3 is ask yourself, what will you do to sustain that momentum? What keeps you motivated? What keeps you going? Whether you're having pictures on your wall like I have here, whether it's watching videos like this on my channel every day, listen to a podcast, morning routines, you need to inject that into yourself every day. When you don't see the light, when you're not seeing the results, when it feels like there is no momentum, you need to demand that boldness in you every day. So ask yourself, what is the thing that makes you feel alive, bold, confident, that makes you want to go out and create and build momentum even when you don't see any light around you? What is that thing that you need? And then bring that into your morning routine. Demand that from yourself on a daily basis. Instead of hoping that you wake up all motivated today to go off and do work, successful people demand excellence from themselves on a daily basis because they put something in their morning routine that reminds them of what their mission is and how important it is to move forward.
Also, if you want to have more confidence and motivation, check out our 254 series. The link is in our description below.
Surround yourself with greatness. If you want to be more confident, you need to surround yourself with things that make you feel confident. Smash all of those things together because that's the unique thing that only you can do.
Because your book has come out, it doesn't mean you should stop marketing. It's not just about week 1 when it just comes out. It's constantly marketing.
Rule number 2, ignore the opinions of others.
Your fear of other people's judgment is the single biggest factor holding back the success of your life. You want to serve others. Humans are built to serve others. You need it. It's your purpose. But serving requires someone else. And as long as you're worried about that person's judgment and opinion of you, you will stay still and never act. So you've got one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas, pushing hard, spinning your wheels, and never going anywhere, knowing that you're capable of a lot more, but afraid to take action. I don't tell a lot of stories about my parents. They had a huge impact on my life. They're here on the wall behind me. I'm 8 or 9 years old, and that's them above me. They're really private people, so I keep the stories that I share about them to a minimum. But one of my favorites are when I was in school, I was in art class, and the teacher told me to do a project, and he said, paint a window. And so I painted a window, and then I added a sailboat, and I added sunshine, and I had some curtains, and I added a lot more to the painting. And I failed the assignment because the teacher said, well, I asked you to paint a window, and you did all this other stuff. And so my parents went into school later on and said, hey, what was the assignment that you asked Evan to do? And said, well, paint the window. I was like, well, he clearly painted the window. I mean, he did what you told him to do. and they stood up and became a shield for me. And I was blessed to have amazing parents. You might have amazing parents. You might not. It doesn't matter either way. But wherever you learn and however you learn, you have to learn it. That you need to go off and express yourself. You need to go off and create the thing that you want to create, even if the rules tell you that you can't do it, even if your teachers tell you that that's crazy, even if your parents tell you you'll never make it and they want you to do something safe and practical. You have to do it because otherwise you're teaching yourself to play small, and that permeates for life. You have ideas, you're a genius, you've got Michael Jordan level talent at something. You should be off creating amazing things, but you're afraid because of other people's judgment. And as long as that is the thing that is in the back of your head, that you're not afraid of failing, you're afraid of failing in front of somebody else. You'll sing in the shower, but you won't sing on the street because you're afraid of what other people are gonna think about you. And as long as that is the reason why you're not taking action, then you lose for life. And the goal of this video is to stamp that out. So I've got a 3-step process that I think will help. Let's dive in. Step number 1 is the boom, boom test, and that's your heart. When your heart's going boom, 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 right? You're nervous, you're afraid, you're scared. When your heart's beating boom, 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 that is go time. That means you have to take action. That means you got to step into it. Every time your heart is beating, especially around other people's judgment of you, even if you have no interest in the thing at all, just the fact that you're willing to go off and do it and risk potential embarrassment means you have to do it. Because you don't want to teach yourself that you catch yourself being nervous and playing small. Because you're teaching yourself that you suck. And that's not acceptable. When you feel your heart going like this, or your palms sweating, or whatever your sign is that you're nervous or afraid, you have to go off and do it. Now, be safe. Don't do something stupid, obviously, right? Don't go trying to juggle knives that are on fire, okay? There are some limits, but most of the things that you're afraid of are not that. Most of the things that you want to go off and execute are not, I want to juggle flaming knives. The thing that you're afraid of are other people's opinions of if you fail or not. You have to stomp it out because this will haunt you for life and prevent you from accomplishing the goals that you have for yourself. So take the boom, boom test. Boom, boom. Your heart's going boom, boom. That's not play small time. That is go time. Step number 2 is the Quincy Jones rule. Quincy Jones, legendary music producer, had this one line, and it's in his top 10s, and I love it, where he says,
"Not one drop of my self-worth depends on your acceptance of me."
And I just remember that anytime I'm worried about what somebody might think of me, I think back to Quincy Jones. I think back to all the people that I profiled. If you want to be a leader, if you want to be an innovator, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you're doing things that are different, right? You don't want to wake up and live the same life as everybody else. But in order to do that, you have to be willing to live a different life and to be able to face criticism for living that different life. Even if most of the judgment that's coming at you is really those people's